Front and center, big headline here for the Punch. JAPA, which is now a word that we use very, very secularly in Nigeria. Hospitals reduce outpatients surgeries as 4,000 doctors migrate. 1,197 Nigerian doctors moved to the UK since May 29. 789 Kano nurses, 162 doctors quit. OAUTH closes psychiatric unit over lack of nurses. Doctors fault 5% health budget. And that's very concerning one we'll come right back to. Kano government aide arrested for alleged palliative looting. And UBA wins Bank of the Year in Nigeria, 7 countries. Ogun police student killed in fresh robbery attack. And Akwa Ibom coppers in kidnappers' den 4 months after abduction. And anger as Lagos a mechanic's car crushes mother and 2 children. At the top for the Punch newspaper, budget, National Assembly, 6 agencies' allocations rise 40% to 1.4 trillion naira, and over 150,000 Nigerians applied for U.S. visa in 2023. Coming back to that JAPA syndrome. Let's rest it there first off. The JAPA issue is not only affecting just the hospital or the health system, it's also affecting all walks of life. People, especially in software design, or maybe even STEM, are beginning to find better opportunities outside of the country. I'm wondering if these countries are not sitting back and thinking, what ill are we doing to these other nations? Don't think too hard yet, Sha. Just wait for me. Jokes.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's a big concern. I'm wondering whether it's just a one-sided thing, whether we're just the ones thinking about the disadvantages.
The
impact.
So yesterday at FAD Liberation, I mean, of course, they had different things happening, but very importantly, they also had like an area where they had like, it wasn't like a seminar, but like just talking about the value, how we need to start embracing our culture and our things more often. And then there was a lady that was up on stage at some point talking about how, in fact, all I heard was, no to JAPA. Everybody was like, hey. Right? And it was actually very interesting because, of course, she was talking about how, oh, no, that's not the way forward. That's not the way to better the economy. We need to stay here and fight for us. But then again, Zainab was there with me, and something came to my mind. I mean, I look at her, and she looked really good, really plumpy. She had really lovely jewelry on. And we had a quick conversation. Okay, now, so we just did a quick analysis. In fact, none of your children are in this country right now. You cannot deny the facts, right? And then you definitely don't do health care here and all of that. So as much as, yes, I understood where she was coming from, at the same time, I was quite irritated by that whole thing. Because as much as
just trend.
Exactly. So, yeah, you're
People
telling...
have that access.
Exactly. You have access. You have the opportunities. You're in the helm of affairs.
Well, perhaps because they know what it is like outside there. I'm trying to balance it out, but...
No. So she... okay, let's not go into that.
If we keep on that, it's going to be an entire... Now, let's move on to our next daily for this morning, and let's take... What are you taking?
Yeah, so that's Vanguard, right? For the major headline here, we have uproar over Nigeria's 1,411 man delegation to COP28. We have, for the riders, we have federal government didn't fund all COP28 delegates. Presidency Obi LP Blast Tinubu say high delegation waste of taxpayers' money. PDP demands roll call costs incurred by federal government delegates. Ask NAS to commence probe. UK commits £100 million to assist Nigeria. Others. And below that, so let me take the one at the very top. To the left, we have how Intel waived $193 million debt to resolve stalemate over pilotag contracts. We have that from NPA. I won't benefit from federal government installment of Intel's contract from Atiku. NUC names new 11 justices for Supreme Court this week. To the right of that, we have the killer effects of inflation on the economy by Muda Yusuf. Alarm bells. We have that on page 22. And there we have an image of Tony Elumelu and Okonjo Iweala there. We have, right beside that, we have NAS committee to propose comments quick amendment of section of PIA. We have that on page 12. We have ex-Niger Governor Aliyu knocks northern leaders for setting region backwards. Okay, so yeah, that's about it.
Very interesting headlines here for the Vanguard, especially about the uproar of the 1,411-man delegation to COP28. First of all, I wanted to say I saw the videos. Most of them were actually amateur videos. I'm going to come back to that. There is a need for accountability regarding how much is being spent when we have these kinds of engagements outside the country. Obviously, we're struggling as a country, so to be putting people luxuriously on planes outside the country. Yes, let's get an account of that one.
Yeah.
However, there's something called information management. That kind of a delegation, from what I saw, everybody just wanted to be where the president was. So you can imagine the kind of questions that would rise, even if, like the presidency says, or whichever, the presidency says, that not everybody there was sponsored by the presidency. There's something called, like I said, information management there. If this is what's going to cause distraction from the main issues that are being discussed or the main reason why they're there, then try and manage that. The president should be on his own with his delegates, as few as they might be, so that it doesn't cause tongues wagging and we take away from the main issue that's supposed to be discussed at the forums where the president has engagements. That's just my own 2 cents regarding this.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's plenty of, but still accountability is something that we need as Nigerians. Perhaps maybe a press conference after, so that it can set the record stage straight.
Yes.
The blueprint. Let's move on to the blueprint this morning, as requested.
Okay.
How wet lease aircraft put Nigeria aviation industry on the edge. Oh, now they know, says investigation. Their aircraft accidents waiting to happen. That's what they say. At the top here, 200 northern lawyers volunteer to assist Governor Yusuf win case at Supreme Court. And 5th World Media Summit, China urges fair reportage amid global instability. COP28, FG didn't sponsor 1,411 Nigerian delegates to Dubai. We saw that in the previous paper. And for the photo story, His Excellency, the Executive Governor of Kano State, Alhaji Abakari Yusuf, launches mobile clinic and ambulances for medical outreach and emergency services. Now, this is good. It'll help plenty of jobs, perhaps. I'm hoping if the JAPA syndrome doesn't hit these individuals who might be engaged. That's all we can take on the Blueprints newspaper. We move on now to perhaps what might be our last one, the Daily Trust.
Okay, so the Daily Trust here, we have outrage over Nigeria's 1,411 delegates to COP28 summits. Of course, Tinubu has turned climate change conference to Owambe. Tiku says that. Let's go to the top right there. To the left, APC played to Speaker lock horns over swearing in of new lawmakers. JAPA, we've interviewed 180,000 Nigerians this year. And of course, I think that's all taking for Daily Trust. Most of it is just a reputation of like what we had on other papers.
I'm sure we'd find other reiterations here in the Guardian newspaper as well. To start with, over 60 refineries licenses inactive 18 years after as fuel import thrives. That's once again 60 refinery licenses inactive.
Yeah.
And trust the Guardian to give us a very interesting chart or infographic for poses about intention to build despite receiving licenses for the refineries. Very detailed there. To the side of that, Intel waived $193 million debt to resolve Pelotage crisis, MPA affirms, and Kano uncovers diversion of palliatives, vows to punish culprits. We had that one inside of the news this morning, and I think this investigation's going on. Teachers hold Subeb boss hostage, disrupt aptitude test in Dutse, and reject Wike's 15 billion naira benefiting residents for VP Serap urges Senate. At the bottom for The Guardian, NJC to select 11 new Supreme Court judges on Wednesday, that's 2 days from now, and failed road. Female passenger dies, 2 injured in Lagos tanker accident. Once again, wanted to say something about the amount of trucks and tankers that are currently inside of Lagos. They take the entire stretch from way before Sele all the way up until the port all week long, causing traffic. It's a bit managed, better managed than it was last year. It is actually a biennial thing where you have these trucks, especially in December now. But the amount of trucks that are applying the routes, Lagos roads currently is alarming. Not just the amount of trucks, but the amount of trucks that are totally not roadworthy.
Yes.
We get stopped all the time by the police and we get checked, or the authorities. And I'm wondering whether this only regards private car owners. What about these trucks that are plying these roads with tires that are not, or containers or whatever And these are the causes. These are
Yeah.
the effects of what we get.
It's interesting because for everything you talk about, I have an experience to literally back it up. It's going to be a very long conversation.
Ooh,
But anyways, I have to say about all of that. Yeah, I've had an experience where I literally was stopped by police during a checkpoint.
You're watching another car that's
exactly, like a big, it's not just a regular car, a big container-looking bus that all those cars that they fix to pack certain things.
Yeah,
They just drove by and I'm like, huh.
What
and
about them?
He told me to open my box, and I'm like, "What do you want to see, my undies?" It's just weird. It was just so funny. So and of course the situation of having trucks there. I know I've questioned. Why don't we have pipes going through? Do you understand transporting things?
Long-term
But the truth,
solution.
yes, but then again, there's vandalization and people that will pop it to get. Whatever it's going through. So.
Well, thank you for joining us for the papers. Do stay tuned. It's only the start for Wake Up Nigeria. We still have plenty coming your way. If you stick around, you get to find out, especially inside the kitchen where we have a very special chef for today. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a very quick short break, and when we get back, we'll be introducing you to our chef and, of course, on with the rest of the show.